Rescuing our children's children from enslavement, or the proposed way out of the current global economic collapse. 4/2/2009.
Government-sanctioned predatory lending got us into this mess, and a doubling of taxation shall be the proposed way out of it.
Greedy lenders appeal to our wanton desire to live beyond our means. Now the government will appeal to our sense of guilt to get us to pay for this mess. Guilt, you ask? For it was our sinfully gluttonous desires brought to the front of our minds by advertisements that caused us to want more than we need. Many believe that this entire collapse was carefully engineered and orchestrated by the global banking elite, whose most compelling desire is to own the time of every man, woman, and child on the planet. But that doesn't cover the extent of their ambitious plan. They wish to enslave our children's children and their children's children, and so on and so forth to the end of time. They do this by manufacturing and increasing debt. Whether real or imagined, no one knows or cares. The only thing one can be sure of is that we must pay an ever-increasing amount that must keep pace with their ever-increasing greed. How much is enough to satiate their appetite for money? Answer: no amount. The global banking elite owns the for-profit private banks that comprise the United States' Federal Reserve System, which is purportedly regulated by the federal government. What this discussion should really be about is engineering the overthrow of our government, because the moment we elect a president or congressman to represent us, they run off to Washington and they forget about us and their campaign promises. This isn't some kind of accident on their part. They don't suffer from Alzheimer's. Sure, some politicians are naive about the goings-on in Washington, but this is early on in their political careers. Your seasoned politicians know that they will primarily be puppets to their biggest campaign contributors, and they are fine with this, just so long as they and their families and friends benefit from the business deals and monetary orchestrations. The only problem with this is that the wishes of the masses are largely forgotten. Protest the rape of the American treasury. There must be a coup of sorts, and we must be a unified front. Issues of political party affiliation, religion, race, immigration, sexual orientation, these issues must be put aside for the time being. These largely petty, yet spotlighted differences between us as groups of people are sleight of hand tricks that are pulled out of the governmental hat every time we need to be distracted from the very real problem, engineered global economic collapse, which should be the center of discussion. Our top leaders feed this rhetoric and propaganda of issues and differences to our rabidly salivating fawning press, who dutifully turns around and regurgitates it to us. These deceptions are spun and respun in such a way to keep us in a perpetual state of fear, thoroughly manipulating our emotions, resulting in cancers in our physical bodies and a need for constant medicating through drugs of every conceivable sort: illegal, legal, cigarettes, energy drinks, foods laden with high fructose corn syrup, diabetes in liquid form, electronic entertainment, also known as further distraction, shopping frenzies, all of which can be summed up with just a single word: consumerism. Allowing our governing body to maintain tight control over us. And every time we show some sign of growing a backbone, we are distracted by one or more of the aforementioned petty differences, repackaged as important issues, which are, at the end of a very long workday, of only minor significance. The biggest issue is that our taxpayer money, by the trillions, has disappeared to offshore locations, and we must hold our government accountable for this treasonous act. Flyover turnouts. In the Bill of Rights, the Third Amendment to the Constitution assures us the freedom to peaceably assemble. I propose a town hall flyover by local news media outlet helicopters during protest turnouts. We shall set a date and a time for people to show up in their respective county seats, where they shall be seen and heard by their state, their country, our world. I encourage locally headquartered world news leader CNN to participate in these town hall flyovers. We, the people of this nation, do not protest. Why? Because we do not see the point. We do not believe that we will be heard, let alone seen. Town hall flyovers shall give us back our voices. The time to act is now. To orchestrate the details of such an endeavor is understandably daunting. Planning will be difficult. The execution of some plans shall be botched or foiled by unforeseeable forces. But do not lose faith. Enough of us shall be heard. Millions of voices, a unified America, crying out against our tyrannous overlords. But remember, this is to be a peaceful protest, that an ill effect will result from violence, that local law enforcement is going to cry mutiny at the mere proposal of such a number-strong rally. But we must not remain silent any longer. Respect those protesting beside you in the streets. These are your brother and sister, not your enemy. Bring your banners and your picket signs. Leave your torches and pitchforks at home. Believe in the strength of our numbers. Believe that a show of force is preferable to violence. Believe that we have the power to hold our leaders accountable for their decisions and actions. Know that we are the real governing body of these United States. Most of all, believe in yourself and make sure that your voice is heard. Few of us have ever picketed or protested in public. We simply do not know how. Do not let this be your excuse for staying home that day. Here are a few words of instruction. First and foremost, remember what it means to show common courtesy. That is to be decent to one another by respecting the other person's physical space. Second, write messages on poster board and staple these to paint stirring sticks and thin strips of molding. The latter can be found in the lumberyard of your local hardware store. Print banners utilizing your computer software. Write messages on bed sheets with broad-tip magic markers. Paid lobbyists and union representatives are well versed in these practices. We mustn't be lazy. Make the protest signs. Drawing a blank with regard as to what to put on your sign? Well, I've got a few ideas. Bring our troops home now. Say no to taxation without representation. Now spells the end time for predatory lending. Politicians must start representing the people. Gun control laws hurt good citizens. Lobbyist incentives make for corrupt politicians. Corporate bailouts equal money leaving this country. Consider an en masse filing of bankruptcy. Follow the billions to the global banking elite. Arrest them, seize their assets, repay taxpayers. Send copies of this proposal to the following: nearby news giant CNN, headline news. Local media outlets, ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, and PBS. Send a copy to the only network not owned by a super conglomerate, Link TV. Send one to nearby national paper, the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, to the world's largest video blog repository, YouTube.com, to talk show hosts Neil Boortz, Don Imus, Rush Limbaugh, George Norrie, Michael Savage, and the rest.